K9 who's already better than Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Arnold Palmer combined. None of these stories on Red Eye tonight.
Hey, I'm TV's Andy Levy filling in for Greg Gutfeld. Let's welcome our guests. I'm here tonight with hot nerd Jedediah Bila, author, columnist, and co-host of the brand new show Outnumbered, or Out Hashtag as I like to call it, weekdays at noon Eastern on Fox News Channel. And she doesn't need beauty sleep since she's already at 10, but she could use a slice of humble pie after writing that line. It's Joanna Kaczynski. And he's off the wagon and on our air. It's Gavin McInnes, writer for TalkingMag.com and StreetCarnage.com. He's the star of How to Be a Man, available online and on demand everywhere. And she's smart, she's beautiful, and she's a third thing. It's FoxNews.com reporter Christina Corbin.
Hey, law. The lead. That's the first story. Hey, Andy. Hail Hydra.
Hell, wait a minute, no. Will holding a sign change their mind? Well, America's clout now comes with a pout. On Wednesday, Michelle Obama tweeted support for the nearly 300 Nigerian girls kidnapped by an Islamic extremist group. But does the selfie help you? John Hayward at Human Events says it's more hashtag diplomacy as favored by the Obama administration and an example of gesture liberalism. He notes that the terrorist thugs, Boko Haram, probably don't spend a lot of time hanging out on social media waiting for Michelle Obama to post her selfies. You don't know that, sir. Hillary Clinton also joined the Twitter attack, writing, "Access to education is a basic right and an unconscionable reason to target innocent girls. We must stand up to terrorism." I believe we have tape of the leader of Boko Haram responding. Jedediah.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Terrorists aren't going to see these tweets, much less pay attention to them. What is the point of them other than making people feel good about it?
I am humiliated, honestly, every time I see these. I don't know who they think is watching it. I think it's just for other Americans. They want to say, oh, we're all together in this fight, we're all unified. But to see the First Lady holding a sign with a hashtag, if she actually thinks that's going to affect policy, that makes me very worried. That's not the first time they've done this.
No.
The State Department, I mean, I don't know if they think that people around the world are sitting, these terrorists, maybe they're waiting in the forest, connected to Wi-Fi, waiting to see what Michelle Obama's going to say. But I actually find it really embarrassing.
Well, yeah, Gavin, we've got the First Lady and the former Secretary of State doing this, and as Jedediah brought up just a couple weeks ago, the spokeswoman for the hashtag department, which actually is what they are, for the State Department tweeted that she hoped the Kremlin would live by the promise of hashtag. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember they did that with the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And it might seem frivolous, but say before these guys were caught kidnapping girls, they used to burn boys alive, and I think the media avoided it just because it was too gruesome. And I know it seems hopeless, but imagine you were burning a young child alive, and then someone showed you, it doesn't have to be on Twitter, it could just be a picture from the near post or whatever, and you'd be killing children, and then you'd see it, and you'd be like, you are going to die, we are going to end you, we are going to convert the, to your grave. And I feel like some of them might go, wow, that's the president's wife, how they, put this, at least this one boy out.
They see the errors of their life.
Maybe put a blanket on him and go, you know what, that was a wake-up call. And if that happened to him once,
Right, that's all it takes. Yeah. Well, I like that Hillary said it was an unconscionable reason to abduct the girls. Like, as if there could be a conscionable reason. I don't understand that.
250 girls.
Yeah.
I have a good reason, though.
Yeah. Christina, speaking of Hillary, when she was Secretary of State, she refused to designate Boko Haram as a terrorist group. Would that have maybe possibly been more helpful than tweeting a hashtag?
Yeah, it baffles me that Hillary Clinton did not designate this group a terrorist organization when she had the chance to. And one has to wonder, why she did that. Was it because she underestimated their power? And just, I think this is ample ammunition for any Republican going up against her in the election if she chooses to run.
Yeah. Well, they said one of the reasons that they're giving for not doing it is they thought it would actually help them with recruitment. But by that logic, you shouldn't designate anyone a terrorist group.
Right.
Yeah. Jono, you use a lot of hashtags, mainly damn I'm hot, better than you, and of course, hashtag drunk.
Yep.
So I'm assuming you think this is just fine. This kind of speaks to you, doesn't it?
Well, we can look at my tweets as sort of an explanation, I think, of why the First Lady is doing this. So those hashtags in my tweets are for other women. truly, it's like you don't do that to get attention from the men, which is what I should be seeking. I do it for the people around me to see that I'm doing it. So she's doing it so that she's the politician that does it. God forbid then there's one person in the administration who does not do the tweet or use this hashtag. If you're the celebrity who then doesn't use this hashtag, if the other celebrity didn't see it, then somehow you don't care about this cause.
Right.
And it's so frustrating because it's like, okay, we get it, you've tweeted it, but actions speak louder than words, like what Jedediah said. So I really do hope that more effort comes from it than just sending.
Well, if the terrorists never see these hashtags, what you're really saying is, I am against hundreds of young girls being kidnapped and sold into sexual slavery, and that is a very controversial.
No, absolutely. It's a brave stance, I think.
Wow.
It actually reminds me of I think it was last Tuesday or 2 Tuesdays ago, the day that Oklahoma botched that execution. My timeline was filled with hardcore anti-death penalty activists. Like, I could not believe it, but they were all gone on Wednesday. And it was really bizarre. I didn't unfollow any of them.
I didn't hear anybody talking about the fact that this man had mouth, anus, and vaginally raped the woman that he was on death row for.
Yeah.
They weren't that against that.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I think the hashtag was simply meant to show the world that the United States cares about what's going on with these women. Should Michelle Obama have tweeted nothing? I really don't see the problem with that. That said, you know, we have to see what the United States does to back this up. I mean, obviously actions speak louder than words, but I really don't see any issue with the fact that she posted
A totally irrelevant gesture, and it does the opposite. It ends up being totally patronizing.
I think if it was just this one, I think people would have let it slide. The problem is that it's coming out of the State Department. Now it starts to look like, is this how you're trying to affect policy around the world?
For crying out loud.
Bailey, move out of the video.
3 weeks ago when these rules
The hashtag should never have happened.
But I think our point is, it would have been, if it's going to happen, do it when it happens, when the kidnapping happens, not 3 weeks later. I agree. I completely agree, but I take your point.
Jaden.
Should have been done earlier. She should have had more cupcakes. She should have made 3 that spelled out the names of these girls.
How do you hate on cupcakes, Dad?
Yeah.
Honestly, what did they do to you?
Racist.
What did they
They're
do to
racist.
you?
Wake up.
You're very close to my voice right now.
Jedediah, last question. Isn't it a bit odd? A lot of the people who are yelling at us to do something about these kidnapped girls, they're the same ones who don't like American imperialism and what they call neo-colonialism.
Right.
So what do they want us to do?
I don't really know, to be perfectly honest. I was watching this and saying, I don't know. I mean, I guess right now, and I'm curious to see how this is going to work out, because they're saying American involvement, we're going to go in and sort of monitor the situation, not really help in finding the girls, you know, in terms of being on the ground looking, but in terms of searching and maybe technology. I don't know how this is going to play out, but yeah, there is a contradiction there. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how those people react now. A lot of media folks, a lot of liberal folks, how do they react if we do get more involved?
Yeah. I agree. All right. Was the intern left to burn? Well, Monica Lewinsky says feminists failed her 16 years ago when she found herself the subject of a global humiliation. In her Vanity Fair essay, which I've already read 7 times, she asks, so where, you might be wondering, were the feminists back then? Well, I was wondering. Monica writes, the movement's leaders failed in articulating a position that was not essentially anti-women during the witch hunt of 1998. Instead of taking her side, quote, they joined the humiliation derby. So was everyone too hard on Monica? Are they still? These questions are provoking vigorous debate, and not just here in America. On the last red eye, we're going to do that. I'm going to go first to the expert on women's issues. Gavin, why didn't more feminists take her side? Bill Clinton basically got a pass from the entire feminist movement.
Well, Bill Clinton gets a lot of passes. He would get passes for anything racist because he's the black guy, and feminists give him a pass because he's the liberal Superman.
Yeah.
So somehow it all went on Monica Lewinsky. She's a consenting adult. She wasn't raped by that chick. That was the guy with various and stuff. She should have just been an anonymous figure in this whole thing, and it should have been 100% Bill.
Yeah.
But she had to go down because she got rid of her leader.
Yeah, because she went down.
Yeah. Did she go down?
I don't know.
I think he did most of the playing.
No, I think she went down.
with a woman who might not pay him a lot of attention. So I feel like with those kind of guys, when it comes to their infidelity, they're all about like, let me give you a massage, and let me do this for you.
Right.
With Vince Neil backstage, it was more like, you do some stuff for me.
All right, Christina, here's a quote from Eleanor Smeal, who was president of the Feminist Majority Foundation back in 1998. She said, we're trying to think of the bigger picture. Think about what's best for women. That's for why they didn't go after Bill Clinton. So the message there is individuals don't matter, only ideology does.
Right, they're standing behind a Democratic president who stands for liberal policies, and a Democratic president is better than a Republican president, and they're not going to get behind, a woman versus Bill Clinton. But that said, I read the Vanity Fair article, and I'm wondering, all these years later, now that she wants to move on with her life, why is she then saying people failed her? She failed herself. She made the decision to have an affair with a married man. She consented to this.
Right.
And I don't understand why she's lashing out at anybody still to this day. I mean, 16 years later.
Well, look, she's not blameless at all, but 16 years later, she is still, Bill Clinton is, he's the grandmaster of the Democratic Party, he's a beloved elder statesman, and she says she can't find a job.
Yeah, I think she's saying basically this: we committed the same act, and he was glorified and put on a pedestal, and I was shamed to a point where my whole life was taken away from me. So I think that's her point, and it's it's true. She did that of her own volition. She was a consenting adult, but it is really interesting to see how the media wouldn't sort of defend her in any way.
Yeah.
I think because they would have had to destroy Bill Clinton in order to do it, and they weren't willing to sacrifice him.
Remember he had that whole night that was devoted to all his incredible accomplishments, and all these celebrities come out and talk about how wonderful he is.
Yeah.
If you were to marry Monica Lewinsky today, the whole wedding would be about
Right.
That's the
She
Democrat
couldn't
version
escape
of
that.
Although she would get a new name, which would help her.
Well, that's a good point. Do you feel bad for her?
I don't. So I
Well,
realized
your last name's no Sachinski.
that's true. We're not related. But, turns out I'm apparently a feminist.
Oh,
I've been told by other feminists
good for you.
because I think women are equal to men, and apparently that's like all it really takes to be a feminist these days. So that said, I decide to hate both of them equally. Or not hate, that's a strong word. I don't care about either of them at an equal amount.
Right.
They both did something wrong, and I'll pimp shame him and I'll slut shame her, and then it's mutual shame.
But shouldn't he should be slut shamed too? He wasn't a pimp.
Well, he thought he was a pimp, so I just shame his, I don't know.
Why do we even know her name? Why shouldn't she just be that lady? When you like the prostitute
that
or the
woman is
the
what they
chick
used to
that
call her.
Ted Kennedy drove off a bridge, no one knows her name.
There you go.
Okay, one person
Some
knows
people
her.
do. Wow.
But how did Bill Clinton become untouchable? And isn't that kind of ironic?
Yeah, he spent. Ironic?
Ironic.
Well, I think
given that he likes to be.
honestly,
It is ironic.
I think that Hillary standing by him, I think that her staying with him also then sort of made a big statement as well, which I didn't like.
I think that statement was
left.
she wants to be president.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, there were her ulterior motives behind
Yeah.
it.
Oh, well,
but
maybe-
really, a feminist should want her to leave that man, right?
I think one of her messages might have been, I'm with Anthony Weiner's wife, I'm gaining some sort of camaraderie from her, I feel a little more fulfilled with being with her, I'm not that abandoned by this guy. And I feel like Anthony Weiner's wife maybe also said,
Okay, you can
I have
stop
a
it.
strong